Hello, brothers and sisters and Heart Oath family. I received an email from a woman who had been married for several years. Her husband had different issues of temptation within their marriage, and this morning she felt the Lord confirm for her that he had fallen. She was devastated and she wanted me to discern the matter for her, hoping it was the enemy giving her accusations in her mind. She told me that the Lord had been giving her readings about obedience, and she also got the rhema, Psalm 81, which is an admonishment from the Lord of rebellion or self-will. She felt that this could have been an open door. She felt that maybe there was some disobedience that caused this to be an open door. So I went to the Lord on her behalf, and rather he began speaking to me about this soul situation. Jesus began, "My beloved little one, I turn your ashes into beauty. I will restore you and rewrite your story to be a testimony of my love, of victory and conquerorship. A soul who has conquered her fears, conquered her doubts, and conquered herself. Do not fear, although I know the storm is raging in your heart and mind concerning your future. Trust me, I bring things into the light to be redeemed. Your husband is struggling, yes, but his struggle will not be forever. That is why I had you see the rhema from St John Chrysostom. The purpose of temptation is to reveal hidden passions, so that you can battle against them in order to heal the soul. The example is the divine mercy. It is necessary for a soul to go through temptation so they may conquer their passions. Every time they fall, I make provision and graces for that, and for the next time Satan comes around. He always waits for the opportune time. I know it's painful. I know you're hurting and fighting to trust again, but please take my hand and see me in him instead. I'll give him the grace to be honest with you. Please be very gentle, gracious, and continue to give him respect. That is what Satan wants you to undermine, his respect, and that is what a man values and needs. Of course, in the eyes of the world, he doesn't deserve it, but in my world, respect is always given, whether a soul deserves it or not, because respect for him is also respect for me. Do not fear the future you two have ahead. Know that he's not the same as he once was, although he still has this weakness. I'm using it to humble him and causing him to rely more and more on me when these temptations come, because they will come, and continue to be an area where Satan will try to entice him until that button is flat, until his love for me supersedes his love for himself and even for you, and that time is soon approaching. When a soul falls into temptation, Satan rather wants to cause condemnation and alienation from me. That is his ultimate plan, as his work with Adam and Eve, and even Judas. However, when a soul responds to grace, he rather draws near to me. And that is what your beloved did differently this time. He clung to me, held fast to what he knew, and even sought deliverance by attempting to do a 3-day fast, because he knows in his conscience there is a problem that he has to overcome in his flesh. I know the secrets and lack of transparency has hurt you the most, but he is trying, beloved. Your relationship will continue to grow deeper because of it, until he no longer becomes afraid to tell you these things, and better yet, fall into these temptations. I want you to love him, encourage him, and love him despite his weakness. Do not fear what's ahead or the torments or lies of Satan. I will continually work out all things for your good, and his good as well. So although painful, this failure is very good for his soul. I'm bringing him to a place where he truly understands my mercy in his own life and embraces nothingness. For now, continue to pray for him daily. Pray against those who continue to curse this union to set up assignments for him to fall and for you to leave. I use everything, beloved. Do not allow this news to steal your day. Rather, work on something that will distract you, and know that I make all things beautiful in time. And here Jesus addresses the Psalm 81 reading she received, and she also got enemies. She thought maybe a curse landed. Psalm 81 says, "Sing for joy to God our strength, shout out loud to God of Jacob. Begin the music, strike the timbrel, play the melodies, harp and lyre. Sound the ram's horn at the new moon, and when the moon is full on the day of our festival. This is a decree of Israel, ordinance of God of Jacob. When God went out against Egypt, he established it as a statute for Joseph. I heard an unknown voice say, I removed the burden from their shoulders. Their hands were set free from basket. In your distress you called, and I rescued you. I answered you out of a thundercloud. I tested you at the waters of Meribah. Hear, my people, I will warn you, if you would only listen to me, Israel. You shall have no foreign god among you, shall not worship any god other than me. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. Open wide your mouth and I'll fill it. But my people will not listen to me. Israel will not submit to me. So I gave them over to their stubborn hearts to follow their own devices. If my people would only listen to me, if Israel would only follow my ways, how quickly I would subdue their enemies and turn my hand against their foes. Those who hate the Lord would cringe before him, and their punishment would last forever. But you would be fed with the finest of wheat. With honey from the rock, I would satisfy you. She also had mentioned that her husband was having a lack of self-control in certain areas, and after discerning that her fears were true, she realized those were red flags. So here Jesus addressed it. Self-control in every area of his life, that is what I'm teaching him, beloved. If he can control his sexual appetite by my grace, then he will be able to be self-controlled when fineness come. Self-controlled in his response and reaction. Self-controlled when anger knocks at the door. And self-control in all his decisions and not be moved on impulse. So you see, I'm working and speaking to him about his nature. Soon he will see and get a whiff when the enemy of his soul comes with a temptation at the door. Whether it's food, a direction, an expense, or pleasure, he'll recognize it ahead of time because he notices he's having a hard time restraining his flesh. He'll recognize the enemy and not fall for it any longer, but call upon me rather, when greater temptations come. So I'm working, and the more he obeys his conscience, which is my spirit in him, the more both of your enemies will be subdued. You are one flesh, so when one falls into temptation, it affects the other, and the other may suffer for it. In marriage, both couples suffer for one another's shortcomings. You're continually going between carrying the cross and holding the cross for each other, like Simon came to support me in holding mine. It's a joint venture, a joint work, joint suffering, and joint reward. And I use all of this to form couples to become more and more transformed into my likeness, one with me, one with each other. Do not be discouraged, my little one. Have great hope in what I'm doing, do not be discouraged, my daughter. Have great hope in what I'm doing and in the beautiful story I'm writing once I'm finished with you both. And that was the end of Jesus' message to this distressed wife. It's eye-opening wisdom for those of us who are married and find themselves in a predicament when their spouses backslide, how we should handle it, how Jesus sees it, and the grace to respond in love. Please, family, pray for this dear soul, and pray for all marriages that are under attack or on the brink of separation. God is faithful to restore all things if we hope and trust in him, even in marriages. God bless you, family, till the next message.